Good morning. My name is Marie Vanderberg and I'm a construction project manager with the Lima CISE, where we champion projects and revolutionize the way people perceive project management and construction. With a resolute commitment to excellence through meticulous planning and innovative solutions, we harness years of practical skills and experience to deliver inspired solutions to the building industry. Our aim is to optimize every aspect of property improvement, ensuring that each project we undertake leaves a legacy. I'd like to share with you this morning some hints and tips that can help you if you're planning to do any kind of property subdivisions or work of that nature. What I've learned over the years through working with numerous property subdivisions and even consolidations is that many people forget that there are often additional requirements that need to be met when you are undertaking these processes. For example, at the end of a subdivision process, you will require municipal clearance certificates that state that you have installed the municipal services and have complied with the national building regulations as are required for full title properties and earths. So what do I mean by that? If you're subdividing a property that is vacant ground, that property must still be provided with the correct municipal services and connections for sewage, water and electricity, so that when building is constructed on that earth, then the municipal services connections will be in place. If you're subdividing a property that has buildings on it already, then this is something that we've seen quite often, is people would opt to subdivide that building by splitting it through a common wall in the building. So for example, if you have a house with a flat attached to the back wall and you subdivide that property so the flat could become its own individual property that is owned by another individual. In these cases, there are two aspects that need to be considered. Apart from the fact that the municipal services still need to be split so that they can operate as two separate earths with separate rates and utility accounts, you also need to consider the SANS building regulation requirements to undertake these subdivisions. In this example, the SANS building regulation requirements you would need to check is to ensure that your building plans are up to date and accurate, and that there is enough natural lighting, ventilation and fire prevention measures in place. In terms of the SANS 10400 building regulations, there are different sections, and we're going to talk about each one of these sections as it relates to a property subdivision. So first off is Part A, which is all about administration. What does that mean? Make sure your building plans are up to date and approved. If you've added anything extra, a new room or an extension, get it formally approved. Don't take shortcuts. Make sure your plans are 100% up to date. Remember, a subdivided earth becomes its own independent property, so that new individual property must have its own building plans that are SANS compliant. If you're going to be doing a subdivision, I would further recommend that you confirm any required building changes with an architect. Get adjusted plans drawn and get those physical building changes done in line with your subdivision process. Next off, in terms of the regulations, we have Part K, which deals with walls. Dwellings share walls, so you've got to ensure that they're up to code for things like structural integrity, fire resistance and soundproofing. You don't want to hear your neighbor's TV blasting through the wall, right? And you wouldn't want the same for your tenant. Also, shared walls require agreements to be put in place to agree between the shared owners of that wall who will be responsible for maintenance and repairs should they be required. Next is Part T, which is all about fire protection. Whether your dwellings are side by side or on top of each other, fire safety is key. Here we're talking about proper fire safety systems such as alarms and fire hydrants, escape routes being wide or accessible enough, and having fire-resistant walls between the units. In residential properties, it's not required to have a fire rational plan in place, but fire prevention is required. Then we have Part O, which covers lighting and ventilation. Natural light and fresh air aren't just nice to have things, they're actually required by law. Every habitable room, which means every room that you can live in, must have proper windows and ventilation systems. That means all bathrooms, kitchens and bedrooms, there must be an opening window with natural light streaming in that you can get fresh air through. And finally, we've got Part XA, which is about energy efficiency, meaning your building should be properly insulated and energy conscious. In terms of general property subdivision, they're going to check that you have enough windows in your building to get that natural lighting and ventilation in, as that's part of energy efficiency. No need for keeping lights and air conditioners working all day. if you've got proper windows. All these things can hold up your subdivision because your building plans will not be approved because they don't meet the SANS 10400 code requirements for individual buildings. I hope these hints and tips have helped you, and we'll see you again next time.